What's going on, everybody, and welcome to day 25 of our Juniper Networking series. In today's video, we will be taking a look at the underlying operating system of our Juniper networking devices, and that is the FreeBSD shell. Juniper devices do run the Junos OS, but up under the hood, this Juniper OS is built on top of the FreeBSD kernel, and we can run a lot of Linux-like commands from this FreeBSD shell. Learning Linux is a great tool to have inside of your toolkit, especially if you are working in tech or IT. It's just going to diversify you and make you a little bit more knowledgeable, especially on devices like these. The underlying operating system is running FreeBSD, and you can run Linux-like commands. So knowing Linux is going to help you understand these devices a little bit more. So let's go ahead and hop into this video and get inside of the FreeBSD shell. Alright, so we're on our freshly booted switch. Let's go ahead and log in. Alright, so after we type in the password and we hit enter a few times, right now we are in the FreeBSD shell. So I can do a pwd or print working directory, and right now we can see we're in the /var/root directory currently. So if I were to type CLI, of course this is going to take us to our Junos OS, and now we are in the Junos OS, so we cannot run the Linux-like commands right here. So if we want to go back to the FreeBSD shell, we can just type start shell, and now we're back in our FreeBSD shell. So we can run the pwd again, and we can see our working directory is the /var/root. So the next thing that I want to do is list all of the files and directories that is within our current working directory. So to do that, we will type ls. And right now we can see that these are the files and directories right now that are within our /var/root directory. So now let's get a little bit more information. I want to get a little bit more information about these files. I can do an ls/l. And now we're going to get a lot more detailed information about the files that are within our current working directory. We can see when they were last modified. We can see the users that have access to these files right here. We can see the permissions, so we can see some read-write permissions. We get a lot more information when we run ls-l. So another cool command that I like to run is the whoami command, and it is just a command to see the user that is currently logged onto this device. So if I type who am I can see right now that we're going to get the output of root. And the last cool command that I really want to run is the uname/a command. So let's do a uname/a, and right now we can see, I said slash but I meant -a. We can see the operating system that we're running. We can see the host name. We can see the version of operating system, so Junos 15.1 R7-S13, and we can see the time that this current device is showing. And we got a lot more information right here as well. So now let's get into a little bit more of the advanced command. Let's run a vmstat. And this command right here is going to give us some real-time monitoring of our system performance. So let's go ahead and hit enter there. And we can see that it's going to give us real-time monitoring on our processing, our memory. We can see CPU statistics here. So this is a very useful command if you want to get real-time statistics on how your network device is performing. Staying on the real-time monitoring, let's see how long our device has been up. So let's just type uptime, and we can see our device has only been up for 13 minutes. We have one user, and we can see some numbers as well on our average load. So if you're on this channel, you're probably a networking guy. So let's get into some of the Linux commands that we can run to see network information. Of course, if we were on a Windows computer, we would type ipconfig, but on Linux devices, it is ifconfig or ifconfig. And here, we are able to see that we're going to get all of the interface information for our Juniper device, but in a Linux-like output. So it's going to give us all 48 of our gigabit Ethernet ports. So if we scroll up, let's go up some. I think we have to have one of these interfaces configured. Yeah. So from a previous lab, we had configured the 192.168.2.1 IP address for the Gigabit Ethernet 001 interface. So right here we are getting the Linux-like output for ifconfig. So let's go a little bit deeper with our networking commands. Let's scroll down back to the bottom and let's do a netstat. Let's do the netstat command and let's do the rn attribute so we can see our routing table statistics. So we're going to get all of our routing table statistics here. We can see the different routing tables. It's going to be a pretty long output probably. So let's let it load. It's giving us all of our network statistics such as connections. This is a lot of information. So we ran the command right here. So we can see that this is our iNet routing table. Some information. We can see our next hop information. We can see our destinations that we have within our routing table. We can see what our destination route is going to do with the traffic that is sent to this destination network. So we have the reject, we have discard, and we can see a lot more information here as well. We can see some more different routing tables. We have our iNet 6 routing table right here. All right, we see our ISO routing table. It's up here. I passed it right here. All right, Ethernet switching. So we have a lot of information that we can see within this netstat command. Let's do a netstat -i. And with this command, we can see a lot more information. So for example, with our loopback interface, we can see the input packets that have been sent as well as our output packets. So the netstat -i command can also give us a lot more network statistics. So these are some of the Linux-like commands that we can run within the FreeBSD shell on our Juniper switch. These commands are just very cool. I like to run these commands and just look through this output to see what we can find. I don't know, that's just me. You guys let me know if you guys like to run this type of stuff and just see what happens on your home network. But let's get into some more commands. So now let's take a look at some logs and some file system commands that we can run within the FreeBSD shell. We're going to start out with the command cd/var/log. And now we're in the /var/log directory. So now if I do a ls, I can see now we have different files right here within the /var/log directory. So the file that I want to take a look at is this messages right here. This file called messages. So we can see this is an interactive command. So now let's do a tail on messages. In here we can see some of the messages that we are getting within our Juniper device. We can see that we are getting an alarm right here, a minor alert for our OSPF version 2 routing table protocol usage requires a license. So we received a message and the alarm was for the OSPF routing protocol. So as a network administrator or engineer, if we go into our logs and we see these alerts being sent, we may need to take a look to see what these messages are talking about, and if they are messages of very high importance and they could take down our network, we may need to look at these logs to see exactly what is going on and fix the issue that our logs or our devices is saying to us. Because if I was in a production environment and I received this alarm right here saying our BGP routing protocol usage requires a license, I may need to check this out, because 9 times out of 10 our BGP within a production environment is not going to work without the proper licensing. So the last command that I want to run is one that is going to show all of the running processes on our networking device. So to do that, let's do a command that is going to consist of ps, and we're going to specify the attributes of AUX, and this is going to show us all of our active running processes on our device. So this is another very, very cool command in my opinion. We can see a lot of process information on our device. We can see the user that these processes are running on. We can see the ID. We can see the CPU percentage. We can see the memory that it is taking. So we get a lot of statistics from this command right here. We can see when these processes started, the time, and we can see a lot more information within this command. So I appreciate you guys tuning into day 25 of our Juniper Networking series. we can run a lot more Linux-like commands. Please go on YouTube, Google, and just if you have one of these devices, look up Linux commands that you can run, experiment with these different commands, and see the output that is generated for your particular device. That is exactly what I do within these labs right here. So I appreciate you guys tuning in into this lab right here. I hope to see you in day 26. But until then, I'm out. Peace out.